Part one, we're in a crisis. The state legislature, the Arizona state government, has a constitutional mandate in the Arizona State Constitution, Article 11, Section 6, the university and all other state educational institutions shall be as nearly free as possible. Now, I don't know about you guys, I think that that's probably not being upheld, and let me show you in a graph how it's not. Every measure of state funding has gone down. No matter how you measure it, it is not appropriate. Percentage of general fund, that's the money the state legislature has invested in Arizona universities, down since 1979. State investment in universities per $1,000 in personal income, down. General fund as a percentage of ASU's total fund sources, down by a lot. And the general fund per full-time equivalent student, which means a full-time student in 1981 versus a full-time student now, is getting the same amount of general funding, even though that the university education costs have increased by a lot, and everything else has increased by a lot. We are back to where our parents' funding was at. So now, in the early 1980s, the state legislature funded 80% of ASU, 80% of our education. Currently, it's 25%, that top right reddish corner. That's the second highest source of funding. So it's still a significant amount of money that we don't want to lose in terms of our education. But the highest source of funding is our own tuition dollars, so we need to make sure that that part of the circle does not get any bigger. The reason why I have this slide is to talk about why the state of Arizona is on our side on this one, and why we just need to remind the state legislature that they are. Proposition 100 was a proposition in a special election in May, which basically was a 1-cent sales tax to go straight to paying for public safety and education in Arizona. Prop 100, this is a quote by Michael Crow, said that no more additional cuts to education. In my view, the people have spoken. They don't want education cut. The people of Arizona voted in a special election, meaning that they had to take the time out of their day to vote just for this. 66% in favor of funding education in Arizona. They are behind us on this one, but the state legislature does not see that. What they do see is that they want to cut funding for us as much as possible. Now, we don't know the exact numbers of how much they want to cut us because no one's going to tell us for sure. It will be in the double-digit percentages. We have heard up to 50% cuts. What that'll mean is hundreds of millions of dollars of cuts, tuition raises in the thousands, loss and consolidation of degrees, programs, services, academic advising, increases in class sizes. Basically, we'll be paying a lot more for a lot less. And that is not what we should stand for. This is a study that came out from the W.P. Carey School. The biggest share of the expenditure cuts will come from capping educational expenditures to the universities. So part two, this is what we want to focus on. We know we're in a crisis, but what can we do about it? What can every one of us do about it if we're willing to make sure that we don't get cut? Well, it starts with us. That in the state of Arizona, ASU is right in the center of it. That's a symbol of us taking charge and being the leaders in this. Every single one of us in this room. First of all, join the movement, email me, make sure you're signed up on the database. Because if you're not signed up on the database, we can't contact you and we can't give you information you need. Sorry about that. I had a little fun with that picture. Talk to your friends, family, your community. While you're at ASU, before the semester ends, while you're at ASU and before the semester ends, tell everyone you know about what's going on. Tell them what you learned tonight. Tell them to email me and say they want to sign up for ASU ACE. Talk to you, and then once winter break starts, when you go home to Lake Havasu, Payson, Tucson, wherever, go back and tell your family, get your neighborhoods involved, talk to all your friends, and make sure everyone knows. And then in the meantime also, speak at your next club meeting. If you're in a club or organization on campus, stand up in the front and just say, hey, here's what's going on, make sure you're doing something about it. we're going to be working with the other universities as well. This is not just an ASU thing. It starts with us, obviously, because we are the best university in the state of Arizona. We will, so what I'm saying is contact your, oh sorry Alma, Alma's a mild cat. When you go back over to winter break to your hometowns, Tucson, I mentioned some before, those are all the big cities in Arizona, I guess. Go back, talk to your friends, talk to your families, talk to your communities, get them on board. Contact your state legislators. The reason why we're asking you, if you've emailed us already, the reason why we're asking you for the zip code where you're registered to vote is most of the time that's going to be your home district. That's going to be the district where your legislator wants to hear your opinion. That's going to be the district where your legislator wants to hear your parents' opinion, your friends' opinion, your grandparents' opinions, your neighbors' opinions about why they should not cut education and why it's important to Arizona's future as a state to fund education. You can get more information at http://tinyurl.com/contact-my-legislators. That's how you can figure out what district you live in. If you're not sure, most people don't already know, so that's an easy place to figure that out. Also, what we want to do is expand the coalition beyond students, beyond the parents of students, beyond alumni. We need to show our state legislature that we have business and other interests on board. The example I like to give is Intel. They just were in the news in the past few weeks for saying they're going to drop $2.3 billion into expanding their Chandler facilities to manufacture the next generation of chips that will be going in our cell phones and our laptops. They need a base of quality graduates from ASU, from a quality institution, to help provide employment to them. Otherwise, they have no reason to be here. So we need to think outside the box, get our coalition partners involved, because honestly, the state legislature is not going to listen to us if it's just us. We need to use our networks. All of us have friends, our parents have friends that we can contact and get on board with this. And in the end, we're going to have the entire state of Arizona on board. That's the final goal of this. We want every legislator by the end of winter break to be contacted by you, to be contacted by your parents, to be contacted by your neighbors, your grandparents, the rest of your family, your friends, their businesses, small business to large business, everyone. We want them to know by the time the legislature starts in early January that higher education should not be on the chopping block. So here's the timeline of what needs to happen. First, the state is already working on the budget for next year. The governor's office is already in plans, Joint Legislative Budget Committee is already doing it. In early January, the first version of the budget will be dropped by the governor's office, and then the second version will be dropped by the Joint Legislative Budget Committee soon after that. After that, it will go into committees, and then the final vote. In previous years, the budget has been voted on within the month, within January, or a little bit later. So we need to make sure that we do as much as we can before that. If this is the case, we will rally or protest in early January to make sure that everyone understands that we have a large cause behind us to make sure that higher education is not irresponsibly cut. But in the meantime, we need to be constructive and work with the legislator as opposed to just making them angry and making them want to cut us even more. After that, they will deliver a lump sum budget to the Arizona Board of Regents and Dr. Crow, president of ASU. What Dr. Crow and the Board of Regents will do then is take that money and try and figure out what they'll need to cut and how much they'll need to raise tuition in order to make that happen. When the time comes, we will lobby them to make sure that the students' best interests are heard, that we have quality programs still,